Hi guys, welcome back. This is a review of chapter 10, which is all of our probability information. So remember, here's a few words that we've talked about. So we talked about outcomes, and that's what could happen. So if we're talking about a basketball game, the outcomes would be we win, we lose, or we tie. Outcomes for the weather could be sunny, rainy, cloudy, partly cloudy, snowy, sleeting, thunderstorming, whatever we can think of. Sample space is all of the outcomes put together, and a lot of times we'll denote that by a big S with an equals and our fancy little brackets that we've been using in this chapter. Okay, so sample space for flipping a coin would be heads and tails. Sample space for rolling a die would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. An event is something we want to happen or something favorable, right? So if we say the event of rolling an even when we're rolling a die, that would be 2, 4, and 6. Okay, and we denote that with whatever letter we so choose. We'll put, A equals with little brackets, just like what we did with the sample space. When we want to find the probability, we denote that with a P with whatever the event is in parentheses. So we say probability of A for this. And remember, when we want to find the probability, we put what we want to happen, or how many times that could happen, over the total number of things that could happen. So if I want to flip a head, that would be 1 chance of getting ahead out of 2 total chances of getting ahead, if we're talking about theoretical probability. Remember, experimental probability is when we actually do something, right? So we flip a coin 500 times and see what we get. Or we roll a die 10 times to see what we get. Or we pull a card out of the deck or pull a marble out of the bag. Theoretical is what should happen, right? What should happen if I flip a coin, right? I should have a 50-50 shot at getting this. Sometimes this is called relative frequency. I'm sorry, experimental is sometimes called relative frequency because that's what's happening as you're doing it. Okay? So another word for that. But really we use experimental and theoretical, and experimental is probably a better word. It'll probably help you remember a little bit. Okay? So if I'm looking at rolling a coin. Yeah, that's how we do. We roll coins. If we roll a die, okay, I know the chance of me rolling a 3, so the probability of getting 3 would be 1 out of 6 times. That would be the theoretical probability. But if I sat here and rolled my die, and maybe I got 1 3 times, 2 1 time, 3 4 times, 4 1 time, 5 3 times, and a 6 1 time. Okay? For the experimental probability, I would say, okay, my total here is 3 plus 1 is 4, plus 4 is 8, plus 1 is 9, and then plus 1 is 10, plus 3 is 13. I just like making my 10s there. So I had 13 chances in total to get something, and if I want the probability of 3, I would say, well, there was 4 3s occurring. So the probability of 3 is 4 out of 13. Now remember, in that video we watched at the very beginning of this chapter, the Math Antics video, if we do this more and more times, so I only rolled this 13 times, it's not really a lot in the grand scheme of things. That's really only twice for each number. So it's not surprising I could get 4 3s, but if I rolled this 500 times or 600 times, I would have a chance to get 100 for each one. I'd probably be a lot closer probability versus 1/13 from 4/13. Okay? Now complements are the exact opposite of the event. So let's say the event A is rolling an even. Okay? The complement, which we denote with an apostrophe, okay, or sometimes it's actually denoted with a little line over it like this, and we call that A prime or complement of A, would be rolling an odd. That's the exact opposite. It's everything not in that. Okay? So if I say the event A is me tying my shoe, the event A prime would be not tying my shoe, right? Or if, let's say, event B is getting a king in a deck of cards, okay? B complement or B prime would be not getting a king. Now you can see sometimes we say what's actually happening, where we say like, oh, we're rolling an odd, where that's easy to write in a sentence, right? A king, I don't want to list out everything not getting a king, like saying, oh, ace, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? That just is annoying. So sometimes we just literally write the word not king or not getting a king. Okay? So that's a review on complements. We struggled a little bit of this on our quizzes and such. So make sure you kind of review that. You can always go back and watch that video too. Okay? Hopefully this video finds you well. Good luck.